My name is Amanda Tainter. I am the faculty coordinator of instructional design and outcomes at Reedley College. I come from the world of ECE, so I was a tenured child development instructor here at Reedley before I transitioned into this role. So that was always be my heart. I am a user and lover of OER for many, many years now. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sarah Miku Kershaw. I'm the OER librarian out for Reedley College, and I've been in that role for about 3 years now.
Perfect. Great. All right. So we're going to head and get started. And the title of our talk today is the OER Treasure Hunt, Unearthing Valuable Educational Materials. And we can thank ChatGPT for helping us be creative and choosing our theme. So it wasn't just another boring presentation. So yay, AI, right? Okay. Whoops. No, it's not progressing. Here we go. So we want to start with what is OER. Many of you probably know, but I always like to level set so that we're all speaking the same language and we don't just jump right into finding OER when we haven't really thoroughly defined it. The purpose of the workshop isn't to go into that much detail of OER, but again, let's level set some of our terminology, especially since OER can get confused with OEI a lot of the time. So OER are open education, which encompasses educational resources, tools, and practices that can be freely and fully used in a digital environment without legal, financial, or technical barriers. And so what really classifies something as open is what we lovingly refer to as the 5 Rs. And what the 5 Rs are is that somebody has given you permission by affixing a certain type of license to that work to retain it, reuse it, revise it, remix it, and redistribute it. And there is lots of different ways that those licensures can be mixed and matched. And I'm pretty sure we have another workshop in our OE week that's gonna go over that. So I'm not gonna dive into it, but open educational resources can be any resource that allows you to do one of those 5 things. And many people can equate it just with textbooks, but they can be videos, they can be homeworking platforms, they can be test banks, anything that has that license on there. And that's one of the things that we're going to explore later on today is finding different types of open educational resources that can be utilized to supplement or completely be utilized in your course. Anything you wanted to add, Sarah?
Nope, I think that covers it.
Okay, all right. So then how to find OER, and that's really what the whole purpose of our talk is going to be, is we're going to take a hands-on approach to different places you can go on this treasure hunt to find different open educational resources to be able to use in your class. We have to realize that not everything that you find available to you on the internet or wherever you might find it is an open educational resource. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between OERs, etc. when we take a look at some free but not open resources at the end. So we really want to know how to recognize what is actually openly licensed and has those 5 Rs so that we can retain, revise, reuse, remix, and whatever the 5th R that I'm forgetting right now is. For a resource to be OER, it needs to be open, it needs to have one of those 5 OERs. And as we're going and doing our treasure hunt in just a second, we're going to show you what those different licensures will look like in the resources, where to try and find them. They're not always easy to find, but the places you want to look to see, okay, what are the limitations that I am given in using this resource, and what are the freedoms I'm given? And that can all be found in the type of license. So we'll take a little bit of hunting for that. And I didn't say this at the beginning, and I apologize. Please, at any time, pop a question in the chat. Sarah's here to moderate, and Sally thinks she snuck in, but Sally can answer any questions as well, even though that I'm sure she didn't think that she would be used as a moderator. All right, so what are some places to look? And we're going to look at most of these, but the purpose of showing this right now is to see that there are a lot of different places to look for OER. Oftentimes, when we first start searching for OER, we find one repository or repository that we love, and we'll just go there. And it's hard to realize when we first dive into this world of OER that not every resource is posted on every repository. So to really get access to everything that's possibly out there, we really want to get into the habit of searching all of these different places to find exactly what you want, and remixing all of these different resources that you might find in all of these different repositories to really create that perfect course with the content that is specific and wonderful and perfect for the course that you want to deliver to your students. So anyway, we're going to look at Pressbooks, we're going to look at Google, LibreText, Canvas Commons, the curation of resources that the ASCCC OERI project has put together, OER Commons, and then what you can find in your library as well. What about the process of searching? So we know now that we need to go into all of these different repositories and repositories to be able to search for all the different OER, but what if we go through all of those and still can't find what we're looking for? We're going to harken back to our days of doing those lit reviews or doing the research for that research paper, and understand that there are multiple ways that we have to engage when we're actually searching in each and every one of these repositories to really dive their depths to get the resources that we want. So a couple of things that you really want to do as you're searching for the resources is you want to think about those keywords that are affixed to your course. Often we'll always start with the title of the course and we'll search from that. And that's a great place to start. But think through, what are some other keywords that are associated with the course that you're looking for, the discipline that you're looking for? When I'm searching for things, because I'm looking for things in child development, even if it's for an infant toddler class, I'm going to first start with the word child to see what that might come back with it. Again, if it's an infant toddler class, maybe I'll try infant, maybe I'll try toddler, maybe I'll try young child. So you want to think through all of the different keywords associated with that course and use those. Don't just try the title of the subject, even if it's a very commonly taught course. You want to exercise those different keywords and see what that's responded, that's coming back. If you're searching in a repository such as the curated resources that the ASCCC has put together, or even in the Canvas Commons, knowing what the CID, which is the course indicator, common indicator, something that California community colleges have, knowing what that is, if it's a transferable course, can be beneficial as well. Since as of right now, we don't all have the same common course numbering. Oftentimes people will identify their courses that they're putting in a shared repository, such as the Canvas Commons, with that CID descriptor. Same thing with ASCCC OERI project, and we'll take a look at that in this presentation. It's organized by that CID. So if you don't know what the CID is for your course, a great place to find it is on your curriculum outline of record. It should be right there at the top. And that would be a great place, another way to search, especially if you're looking at California specific repositories, knowing that CID is handy. Make sure that you check the license. Just because it doesn't have an open license, it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to use it. You just need to be aware of the rights and ways that you can use it. If you're working on a project that's actually creating a new OER and you're searching for resources that way, then you really want to take a close look at that license to see what you're legally allowed to remix into that content. We'll look at some free resources that we can use in our course, but we don't want to remix those into an openly licensed piece of work, because you're not allowed to unless it has that open license. So make sure and check the license. As we talked about in the last slide, you want to make sure that you're searching in multiple places. So don't just stop at that one repository. And ask a friend. If you're stuck and can't find anything, reach out to another discipline expert, reach out to your OER point person on your campus. There is discipline leads that the ASCCC OERI has that can help you find sources. way too often there are OERs out there that haven't been put on any repository or any of the places that we found. Somebody just created it and they sent out an email, say, hey, I create this, here's a link to the Google Drive. So you want to reach out to other discipline friends and see if they're using an OER that's not published yet. And that can be another place to find those resources. And if there's no OER that's out there, then ZTC is a perfectly acceptable resource to be able to use. And now the difference between OER, remember, is that that's something that's openly licensed. So it has those 5 R's that are affixed to it. And again, you can get some support and find what those license R's. We'll have another presentation later this week that goes into that. But a ZTC is something that's free to use. So library resources are great, or things that say free to use for educational purposes. Or maybe it's a video that is on YouTube or another website. Those are absolutely fine to use. Just remember, they're not openly licensed. They're what's called ZTC, that they help create a zero textbook cost course. Absolutely use those in your course. All right, so before we go to the next one, I'm just going to do a quick check. How are we doing on the chat? Any questions? Or any points of clarification that need to be made? Not yet? Okay. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of audience participation. Unless you want to search for child development stuff, we want to know, what would you like us to search for? So our goal is to go through just what we said that you should do. We want to do a demonstration for the rest to be able to show you, here are the different why you want to search in all these different places, why you want to use different terms to see the resources. We want it to be useful to you. So either throw it in the chat, what you want to find. And I saw it put in there, and I saw Sarah start to talk. Oh, Chicano Latino Studies. All right, perfect. I love that. So let's dive in. Miss Sarah, are you want to take over sharing?
Yes.
Okay.
And let's start with press books. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
I'm going to move everyone's faces so I can search things. All right. This is press books, our first option. I'm realizing now that we put little blurbs about each repository in the PowerPoint, but you can't see the PowerPoint if I'm sharing. So
I will share. Pressbooks is an open source publishing platform that allows users to create, edit, and publish a variety of educational materials. So I will put the link to, if we're sharing specific repositories, I will put them in the chat, but also these will be shared out, the recording. If you're from Fresno City College, it'll be shared on your professional development site, and whatever places each of the campuses have, they'll be posted there with the presentation. So we'll do that. All right, go ahead, Sarah.
all right. So we are going to search up our first one. Sorry, my computer's being a little slow. Oh, geez. That's not what I want. All right. So with our first search query, we've got one result. But like Amanda said, the key is throwing in multiple terms and using specific language when searching. But for our first hit, we've got this item right here. Pressbooks is completely free. I think I saw that in the chat somewhere.
And I'm gonna have you pause right here, Sarah,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, so that you can draw attention to the license right there.
Yes.
So here is where, when you see these little icons, thank you, that's how you know that it's a Creative Commons licensed. So this is an open educational resource because we see these little icons right here. This is letting you know it is an OER.
Yep. And one thing about Pressbooks, it's a very user-friendly interface. It's very pretty. It looks like a published textbook. You've got your chapters, and you'll see who the individual author is if it's different per chapter. And down at the bottom, you actually have the metadata all in one spot. in a very visible way. The description, author, the license again with a more complete attribution, as well as the subject. So if you were to use this in your own course and you needed to attribute it, this is right here, ready to go, all created for you, which is fantastic.
And this would be a quick way to see if this is a resource that is going to be useful. So looking at the book's description and the chapters, it doesn't look like it would probably be holistically, at least, a good fit for a Chicano Latino Studies course. There might be little pieces as you're reading through it. And remember, with an openly licensed piece of content, you can say, hey, I don't really like this, but oh my goodness, that chapter would be great. You can take that chapter and just use that chapter in your course as you're building those resources. So for some disciplines, there might not be a perfect book that's out there, but start keeping those links handy of those chapters, of those pieces, so you can say, hey, there's not a holistic book out there right now, but I can put a zero textbook cost course together by finding these different chapters or sections that meet the needs of my course content. So Sarah, why don't you go back to Pressbooks and let's see if we can search under another term to see if we can find something. So we can also look, what would be another term, Enid, that you might equate with this discipline?
Probably Hispanic, even though
My spelling skills are gonna be put to the test, and that's always fun for me. Awesome. So more hits for this. You can also filter, as you can see on the left, license, subject, language is one of those. Even, you know, if it has H5P, which we might talk about later with LibreText, I don't know. So I can click on. You'll also see as we go through this a overlap in resources. That's pretty normal. But
can you filter for just English? Because I saw
I can, yeah. Let me go back. Sorry, my laptop is having a hard time. All right, so that's just English. It thinks that.
No, I think it's
Oh,
good.
no,
I think the title is in both. And so you can see that, again, you're not pulling a perfect resource out in this one site, but maybe as you go through, you're finding different parts or pieces, like our Lives and Ethnic Studies primer. I saw a chapter of that. Hey, maybe that would be a good fix. One of the ways to be able to start searching or finding keywords, if you're sitting there going, oh my goodness, I don't know what keywords to look for, pull up your curriculum outline of record and go through on that curriculum outline of record, the course outline, to be able to find those key terms that might help trigger some of those content, especially if you do have a resource that you say, hey, this is a pretty good start, but I'm missing some of these key points. By pulling up your course outline and started going through and looking at those key terms, it might help you to narrow in on those keywords that are helpful in being able to search. Maybe ethnic studies, would that be a key term that might help find other courses as well? So let's see what pulls up that. And again, sometimes, just like we did in those days of doing those lit reviews, we might have to expand or become more broad or become more specific depending on what those are yielding. So we see right here, we have a book that is an ethnic studies book. Now that's probably not specific what you're looking for, Enid, but it might have pieces that you can remix that will be pertinent to your class. And again, I'm going to say it every time we are looking at this search, you don't have to adopt the entire book. You can pull out just pieces of it that would be a good fit for your resource.
So I'm a little bit technically not good. How would I just get that chapter?
So that would be, you could do a simple cut and paste. You can import it as the PDF. Personally, I'm a fan of low tech, and I simply like to just cut and paste and just highlight it. You want to make sure and bring the attribution over. And so just like Sarah's showing, copy, and that metadata that she showed at the very front of the page. Yep,
It's
there you
also
go.
at the
And
bottom of each page.
yep, and at the bottom of that, it can be as simple as that, because you want to take the attribution over, but you can just bring each and every one of those chapters or pieces over that you want to use if you don't want to adopt a book in its entirety.
Mhm.
Did that help answer your question, or did I just create more confusion?
No, that helps. But what if I want it to look like this?
That's just
So
a matter
that-
of formatting.
Yeah, and that you can just use the link for that book, just like a publisher resource. You can just, if you want that entire book, you can always give your students the link. Or just like a publisher resource, you can give them the link and say, read chapter 24, this section. It's really no different than a traditional publisher resource, except it's free and they don't have to buy it. So any way that you would use a publisher resource, if you're just using bits and pieces of it, you have the opportunity to do that in this courses for this resource as well. Okay, so let's go, because we want to just go through the progression. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Google and see, all right, what can we find on Google for a Chicano Latino Studies course?
Throwing textbook in there as well, just to help narrow anything down.
And
So
so
with
what Sarah's, oh, go ahead, Sarah, go ahead.
no,
I'm
go
just narrating.
narrate.
So we go to Google all the time, and Google will pull up any possible resource, but we only want to start with resources that are openly licensed. So you want to go to that tools and then advanced search, and down at the bottom of the advanced search, you have usage rights. And this is basically what those Creative Commons or the open licensures get to choose. And you can choose what you want. Personally, I like the one that Sarah highlighting, free to use, share, or modify. I find it to be a good balance of things that aren't too restricted, but yields the most results. And now you can see all of the different things that are being returned. And so this is where I've been able to find a lot of great resources on LibGuides that are curated from libraries. So these might, just like we talked about, might not be on any of the traditional repositories that we're going to be looking at, but somebody has put it together in a Google Doc and it's being housed on their library LibGuides. Any questions about this process? So you can go through. Sarah, go ahead, if you don't mind clicking on that Wikipedia one so we can take a look at that license.
Yeah, and this also works for photos under Google Images. You can also search for license. I'll go to the bottom. Down here, Amanda.
Mm-hmm. So you can see right there, again, we're looking to see what is the permission I have to use this. We scroll down at the bottom and we see that Creative Commons share alike license. And so we either want to be looking for those little icons that we highlighted on the press books, or this Creative Commons wording. That's what's going to indicate that it is an open license. And I know we've been trained in our studies that not to use Wikipedia or anything wiki, but it's actually a really great resource to be able to find, especially to link to other resources. So don't be afraid of clicking on something that's in Wikipedia. It can be a great resource, just like we use with everything. Be discerning in what the information is.
And advanced search can also be used for other advanced search filters. Language, date, anything else that you might need to put parameters around for your course needs.
Mm-hmm. oftentimes when I'm starting out trying to find a brand new resource, I'll start with Google because Google will also link me to other referatories. So it can take me to Pressbooks, it can take me to LibreText. So it's a great place to start if you don't know where to start. But just remember to use that tools and then advanced license and then usage rights so that you're not getting all of these things that are free but not open to use. Now, if you've gone through all of the possible OER referatories and there's still nothing, just like we talked about at the beginning, you can find things that are free to use but not openly licensed to be able to use for your course. So we're not saying don't use those, but start with what's open first. That's just a great place to legally use everything without a problem. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, on to LibreText. Or ASCCC, or LibreText.
All right. I wonder if I should go to Libra 1 and then.
Yeah, go to the library, please. I was going to tell you that, but I thought you could come there.
Yeah.
You would reach that same conclusion. Okay, go ahead, start time. So I will put in the chat, what you want to do is start with getting an account for Libra 1, which will help get you to all the different libraries. LibreText, they're working on it, but right now you need to have an account to get into the library and think of it as a discipline bucket to find your resources. So I can put that when Sarah's searching in the chat. So here is where all of the libraries live. What can be difficult, and we'll show you how to search in there, just if you don't choose the right library, it's not a big deal, is figuring out, okay, so where would the subject that I'm looking for live? Like I come from ECE, what would that be under? And I think, okay, most likely social sciences, and I know that it's there. So Enid, where would Chicano Latino studies probably live?
Social science.
Okay,
Let's give it a go.
and so from here, you want to go into bookshelves, and that's going to show you, you shouldn't have to sign in. You shouldn't have to get to the bookshelf. You should be
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah. I mean, you can.
No, wait, I already pressed it. All right. Bookshelves. We've got ethnic studies here.
Yeah, maybe that one.
That should probably get us closer.
Oh, here it is. Oh, this one.
Mm-hmm. And so we see here are some resources that we might have seen in other repositories, but there's also brand new ones that we didn't see before. And just like all of the other places, you can go into each of these resources and look at them and say, you know, I like chapter 8, parts of chapter 8, and use those parts. And I like parts of chapter 4 and use those parts. But I like parts of another book and use those chapters. That is one of the most liberating things that I will always love about OER, is that I don't have to sit there and say, oh my goodness, I'm stuck with this one publisher textbook, but I like pieces of 5 different ones. I can look at 5 different, 10 different, 20 different OERs and be able to put them together in a resource that really is perfect for my class.
So is there a link like at the top that you could put in the chat? Or
Yeah.
I would have to sign in to get it.
Yeah, and you don't have to sign in. So I think you can get to all and search all the bookshelves without actually having to sign in.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, but Sarah can put it in. Yep, perfect. And here's also, so if you go up to the top,
Oh, sorry.
you have a second, Sarah.
Do you want me to go back?
And yeah, you can still go into the search bar right here. I love the search bar in LibreText, just like everything else. So if I put together an OER and thought, you know what, it is really thin on this very specific topic, and I'm going to put you on the spot again. And so what is a very specific, say like one lecture that you would do? I'm sorry, say it again.
Like, I'm trying to think of like indigenous
Okay, yep.
Indigenous.
Yeah, I
Okay,
want Sarah to do it just
Aztec.
because I want to
That's-
watch her to try and spell it.
Aztecs,
Yeah.
AZTEC.
There you go.
That's just cruel. I mean, I know how to spell.
And so what the great thing about this search is that it's pulling from all of the different libraries. And again, the beauty of OER. So if I click on that top resource, you can see if you follow the breadcrumb, this is pulling from a history book. So maybe you want to bring in some of that information to be able to provide some of the context. So if you follow across the top, that breadcrumb, it's got the information that you're pulling from a different OER, but because it's openly licensed, great, you can use it. You can bring that specific paragraph, that specific map, that specific whatever it might be into your course to create the absolutely perfect resource. So you're not limited to just one book. The world is your playground when it comes to OER, and you can find all of those different things. So that search bar is really handy if you find a resource that is just missing some of those specific things, or you want to beef up a subject. I use it every time I teach a class if I'm trying to think, okay, or if I'm trying to find more updated material. I've been using an OER for a while. I want to check and see, okay, do you have updated material on this resource? And I can, or this, sorry, subject, and be able to pull it up.
LibreText also makes it very easy to access the files that people are including in their books. Like as you'll see below, you've got the attachments and you've also got the attributions typically under the images themselves. So it saves a little bit of the legwork of having to go find a corresponding image to your information.
You just want to get into the habit as you're cut and pasting and moving all of these really cool resources that you bring over those attributions, because when we write OER, we're giving our work away for free, but we still want to be attributed for it. I want people to know that I wrote this. I don't mind anybody using it, but I'd like you to know. So we want to be able to give that perfect attribution. And it's a great role model for our students. We tell them cite, 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 and we want to be able to cite where we're getting this information from.
You can copy and paste the text, but there's also the option for PDF, full book or page, different download options. And then in LibreText as well, you can actually, using their conductor, compile your own book with different pages.
I'm sorry, is that conductor project?
Yeah, so Amanda, you got a simple explanation on that one?
Yeah, so it's basically a place for you to help build a new book. And that's something where you definitely want to reach out. Enid, are you from Fresno City?
Yes.
Yeah,
but
so
I
you
also-
definitely want to reach out to Sally or whoever your OER coordinator is on your campus
okay.
to get a little bit more robust support. Not that you can't do it on your own, but it's a little bit more technical, so they'll want to sit down and be able to provide that support for you.
Okay.
Certainly.
Yeah. It's just a place to be able to put together a cool OER project is kind of the high level.
All right, on to the next.
Yep. So the next one is, are there any questions on LibreText before we move on? Okay.
ASCCC?
Or Canvas Commons.
Comments. Got it. All right. So in Canvas, it's going to be here on your left under all your normals, course items right here. Nope.
And the one thing about Canvas Commons is you do have to make sure that you are logged in because it is tied to a teacher account. So you want to make sure that you're logged in to be able to have access if you haven't explored the Canvas Commons at all. And you can see there's a lot of different information in the Canvas Commons. So just like Sarah's doing, you want to use those search terms, and you also want to use the filter. So if you click on that filter, then you can choose the type of results that is given and also the grade levels. Canvas is a LMS for elementary all the way up to higher ed. So if you don't want to get things that are meant for kindergartners, then you probably want to search a higher level. And if you say, hey, I have all my content, but I'm looking for some assignments or some videos or some quizzes, then you can disaggregate for that. That's one of the neat things about searching in the Canvas Commons is it's Canvas specific items. So you're not going to find, so you are going to find things that specifically are pertinent to a Canvas technology. And it's not vetted, so you're going to get a lot of junk. I won't lie about that. You get a lot of things that you go, oh my goodness, what is this? Anybody can put things on the Canvas Commons, but I found some really useful items in there of resources that I hadn't thought about. So it looks like Sarah found something that's a template course from another California community college, so something to look at. And you can easily import these into your course when you hit that import button on that right-hand side. Sarah's showing you how to preview all of it. Now here's the problem, not the problem, but just something to be aware of. You're going to import the entire course. So this is where if you're looking at the Canvas Commons and want to import just pieces of it, you might want to reach out to your LMS administrator and see if you can get a sandbox so you're not importing an entire course onto another course if it's something like this. But then from there, you can decide what it is that you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Any question about that option, the Canvas Commons? Nope. And again, this is another one where it might be beneficial to search by the CID if your course has a CID descriptor. I know when I put things in the Canvas Commons template shells that I've created, I'll put them in there by the CID so that it makes it easier for other people to be able to search it. But again, using different key terms to be able to search and find different resources.
Saw English 3 in the chat. The 3 might throw it off, but we'll see.
Let's see. And Kyle, do you happen to know what the CID is for English 3 maybe? I don't have mine memorized, so don't feel bad if you don't. It would be on your curriculum outline of record. We'll come back. I think we'll have time to go through this whole process for your course as well. So we'll go through, and if you're able to find that on your curriculum outline of record at the top, then we'll definitely search for that. All right. You want to go to ASCCC, Sarah? And the ASCCC, sorry, what was that? Oh, perfect. So the ASCCC, if you're not familiar with it, this is a entity of the Academic Senate. So it's California Academic Senate, OERI initiative. They've been around for about 5 years now, and they've really done a great job of curating discipline-specific resources. So this is one of my first go-to if I'm supporting one faculty. I'll come here first because this is resources curated by other California Community College faculty. All right, go ahead, Sarah.
We've got up here at the top. I usually start with the curated collections. I don't know if that's the same for you, Amanda. Or
Yep.
you can also go to repositories. That's a good one too. I can do both. You can see, nope, sorry, go.
So under that curated resources, you have a couple of different options. I always start with OER by discipline because if I'm being selfish and looking for my discipline, it's a great place to start. So I just click on that OER by discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see now that all of the disciplines are there, and they do a really good job of letting you know when this is updated last. So they are reliant upon having discipline leads, and for some of the resources, there isn't discipline leads or some to help curate this content. So just make sure you take a look at when the last time is that is updated so that you know, okay, I'm gonna need to go out and look at it. All right, is there Chicano Latino studies on there or ethnic
You
studies
know,
probably?
we've got
Oh,
ethnic
my.
studies, we also have social justice.
Ethnic studies is right there. Yep, perfect.
Boom.
And so these might be resources that we've already seen in LibreText probably, but there might be other resources there. And again, this is really a nice place to go because it's curated by other California Community College instructors. And so if they're saying, hey, there's not a whole lot that's a holistic textbook for you to adopt, but here are some additional resources that you probably want to go and look at that can help you get to that holistic resource. So again, this is one of my favorite go-tos because of that reason. It's other California Community College instructors that are saying, hey, here's some additional resources to look at. It's not a whole textbook, so you might have to put it together yourself, but they're a great place to go and put together that perfect resource. I'm going to say it again and again and again. With OER, you can pick and pull and choose those different pieces to mix together and create that perfect resource.
I also want to draw attention, you'll find items like this one where it's a great resource. It's not openly licensed, but it's been given explicit permission to be used by other community college faculty for the sake of education. So don't, if you are looking and you're not sure if you can use it, you might find on here that there is permission granted.
Mhm. And remember, just because it's a ZTC and doesn't have that Creative Commons license, it does not mean that you can't use it. That's a horrible double negative. It just means that it's not openly licensed. So just be aware of that and don't remix it if you're producing a new OER into it. But you can cut and paste it and remix it into your Canvas course. Absolutely same thing with YouTube videos and all of those things. So we're going to go over that in just a second. All right, let's do OER Commons now. So OER Commons, just like Pressbooks and just like LibreText, this is another OER repository. It reminds me a little bit of a hybrid between Canvas Commons and LibreText or Pressbooks because it has all different types of resources. I would just do I would choose a subject because, yep, just do that. And just like we saw in the Canvas Commons, you can choose education level and a couple of different filter terms if you need to start narrowing it down. And once you hit search, you can see right there that the material type is on there. So this might be something where you want to narrow it down if you are not looking for a specific textbook. If you have a textbook that you love and you just want homeworking or you just want lecture, people can submit their content onto the OER Commons that are supplemental ancillary types of resources. So just like Canvas Commons is very specific to Canvas, the OER Commons doesn't have a specific platform that it's affixed to. And OER Commons is what's called a repository. So it's going to have a link to where you can go to find that content. So you see Sarah has to click view resource and it's going to take her to where that content can be found.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see this is a film, lectures, podcast. So OER Commons, it wouldn't be where I would send anybody that's just beginning to search for OER because it can feel overwhelming because the format isn't like a traditional textbook that you would just adopt, but it is a great place to find some of those supplemental ancillaries that might not be in the other repositories that we've taken a look at. So definitely once you get your primary resources, that's where I would say go to OER Commons and see what there is additional there to help supplement your course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and last, are you ready for last but
I
not
was
least?
showing the collections.
Oh.
Okay.
So you can see there's thousands and thousands and thousands of resources. So last but not least, don't forget about your library. We'll show the Reedley College because we're both from Reedley. The stuff that's on that your library has access to, these are not OER, but they are nonetheless just as useful in your course. My favorite and go-to is Films on Demand. When I first started in the OER world, there wasn't any OERs for ECE. There was a lot of things that were free, but nothing that was openly licensed. But I had committed to having a textbook-free course, so Films on Demand became one of my favorite go-to. It's accessible right from Canvas as well, and we can show you that plugin in just a second. But they have thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of videos that are broken up into segments that you can supplement your content with. This is one of the reasons I'm a huge fan of cutting and pasting that OER content onto your Canvas page, because you don't have this siloing of information. If I'm talking about a certain content, I can cut and paste that paragraph from that OER, and then I can bring in a video from Films on Demand or even YouTube or wherever it might be. In Films on Demand, you can also do different filters by year. This is one of the most prevalent filter I do when I'm looking for videos, because you can get things that are 20 years old. And for some subjects, maybe that's okay. But when I'm looking at things like child development, I want to get the most recent. So I'll do copyright dates and do within 5 years is usually my default. With 1 year, it can be kind of limiting. But 5 years, I want to capture things that maybe covers COVID in the videos if I'm talking about development and how that might affect development. So you can have full videos, and you notice on Films on Demand where it says full video. And if you scroll down, let's see if it has any segments in there. For some videos, it'll break it up and you can just bring in the specific segments. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Right there. The France and Britain competes. It's a segment that they've broken apart and said, hey, maybe you want to consider this as just a small segment so you don't have to put the full video in. You can see it's from that title. I don't even know, want to read it, but it's only a 3-minute segment. So again, this is a great resource too. It's not OER, but it's a fantastic ZTC resource. And your library might have different books that you can use, different articles that you can use. So don't shy away from embedding those books, resources, magazines. Talk to your librarian to see, okay, what can I use that can help supplement my content?
Just a key reminder with the library is that if the library chooses not to renew a resource or continue paying for it, you'll have to make sure to keep on it and double check and make sure that you're not losing access to a key material.
Yep, that's an excellent reminder. Things like TED Talks. TED Talks are great forms of resources as well. I mentioned YouTube videos. You can search by Creative Commons license, but you can also just grab a YouTube video, and just like Sarah said, you have to be careful of that link rot, where you're linking to something that the original author might choose to pull down, or like a library resource might not renew it. So you always want to check those things that aren't OER. And it's why we advocate for using the OER first, because you won't be subject to that. Okay, so we've got just 10 more minutes, and we promised Kyle we would take a search for that CID. So let's see what we can find in a couple minutes for you, Kyle, for English 3.
Sure. I guess I can go back to sharing. Was there a particular repository we'd like to see more of?
Which one? We've gone through all of them, Kyle. Which one would you like us to look at? You can choose 2 in the next 5 minutes. LibreText. Okay.
All right. Oh, I'm still signed in. Nice. All right, and it was English, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Should be under humanities.
And now you're going to have to help us. So what would English 3 critical thinking be under? Composition? And we'll take a look at in the search, while something like English 3 might be good to be able to do that search.
You want me to
So
search
this
English?
looks like it's more English 1A. Yeah, go up to the search bar. And
Got
Kyle, this is a perfect example because it's, oh my goodness, I feel like there's nothing here. But do critical thinking.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
sir.
No, you're good. Um,
And so we see right here, now we have a lot of different pieces of information that might be handy. And you can see right even here, we have the CID that's tagged by that CID 105. So if you type in, if you're trying to look through the bookshelves, it might be difficult to find, but this is a perfect example of where using different search terms will yield those results. Go back to that. Let me just put it in the chat for Kyle in case he was looking. Oh, you're doing it. Can you put that link in the chat? Because this is out of Kalinga College, so it's on their campus bookshelf. But it looks like it was written just for that English 105, so it might be a perfect resource. I can't grab the, oh, perfect, thanks, sir.
boom.
Oh, good. See, I hope that was helpful. I mean, this was the sole purpose of our presentation today, is to help people see that it can be very discouraging if you were just go into LibreText and say, oh my goodness, I'm in the composition bookshelf and there's nothing here. But by engaging some of those additional search terms and looking in a different repository, you might be able to find different ones. Do English 105 for the CID.
Yep.
Or no, the ENGL 105, yeah. See what else is returned. But even different search terms, so maybe critical thinking, it's taught differently in all of the different states. See, and you can see all the different resources that are there. You can search by different terms. Okay, that was a lot of different information, and I'm super excited that we got through everything. Are there any questions or any repositories or repositories you would like us to return to? Give you any ideas, I hope. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, but you, depending on which campus you are on, you will each have a point of contact that can help support you as well.